Well, hello there. Welcome into First Take. Thank you so much for hanging with us on this Tuesday. Stephen A. Smith, Max Kellerman, I'm Molly Karam. How are we doing, guys?
How you doing?
Good. You?
Hey, you? I'm good. Let's roll.
Fantastic. Let's get into it. We have a big day. We have UConn head coach and 11-time national champion Gino Auriemma will stop by to talk a little hoops, and WWE superstar Goldberg is here to pay a visit. Your favorite ahead of returning to the ring. That's going to be a lot of fun, so don't miss all of that. But we start with Monday Night Football in the Chi. It was Jay Cutler's first game back from a Week 5 thumb injury. He delivered a heartfelt Stephen A. pregame speech to the team, and it certainly resonated. The Bears got their second win of the season and handed the Vikings their second straight loss. Jay Cutler's wife, Kristen Cavallari, was all fired up after the win, tweeting, "Can everyone shut up now?" Stephen A., will you give Cutler credit today?
Why? Why would I do that?
Because that big win against the Vikings.
Well, first of all, let me give his wife credit.
Okay.
You know, obviously a very lovely woman, stands by her man, supports him. It's very, very touching. You know what I'm saying? When I get married someday, I mean, I would hope that my wife would stand by my side like that. No problems with her. The husband's another matter altogether. Give him credit. Does Jay Cutler deserve credit for Sam Bradford being sacked 9 times? Does he deserve credit for Sam Bradford being knocked to the ground another 9 times? Does he deserve credit for the defense that the Bears put forth against Sam Bradford and a depleted Minnesota Vikings offense, missing 2 starters on the offensive line, missing Adrian Peterson, missing Teddy Bridgewater, missing Jarrett McKinnon, who was out with his injury? Does he deserve credit for all of that? No. I do understand that the inclination is to give Jay Cutler credit. But why would we think about giving Jay Cutler credit? Because he went 20 for 31, okay, for 252 yards, because he didn't throw an interception. He didn't turn the ball over.
Good defense.
Yes, he threw it. Yeah, I understand that. What I'm saying to you is this. That's what you could use. Me, that's not enough. Because to me, that's relatively pedestrian numbers as far as I'm concerned. 20 for 31 for 252 yards. Ain't that damn impressive. It's just that it's Jay Cutler. So, of course, it's impressive because you usually expect so much less. At the end of the day, when you talk about me, Max, giving him credit, understand why the world is looking at me and saying, "Come on, Stephen A., give it up, give it up." Because I have decried how porous he has been throughout his career as a starting NFL quarterback. Why? Because this is a dude who is leaderless. I know he can throw the football. I know he can scramble out of the pocket. I know he's got athleticism. My issue is that he is devoid of leadership. So he shows up yesterday and he gives some halftime pep talk about keeping the pedal to the metal and all of this other stuff, and everybody's happy. They're 2-6. This dude was out for 5 weeks because of a sprained thumb in the National Football League, okay? And because you don't turn the ball over and y'all finally win a game for the first time in a month, you want credit from me?
Yep.
I'm sorry. He ain't getting it. Period.
Have you no shame, sir?
No, I don't.
Have you
really
no
don't.
shame at long last?
I really don't. I really don't. Not when it comes to Jay Cutler.
Matt.
Jay Cutler didn't play his own defense. He didn't play the offensive line of the Vikings. He didn't play Sam Bradford.
Right.
He played against the Vikings defense, which is an excellent defense and has been all year. That's who he played again.
Okay.
And in the words of my late great brother, Sam,
Yep.
the time to make fun of the fat person is not when they get home from the gym with the sweaty wristbands.
Yes, thank you, Max.
You know, they've been suffering. Jay Cutler has deserved a lot of the criticism, but today is not the day. Today,
got to him.
for a 1-6 team where he had every reason to pack it in, Cutler's got his money. His money's guaranteed. He's already been paid. The quarterback is hurt that started ahead of him because of the injury, but actually was playing better than him. He even said, look, they got no choice. They got to start me. He had every reason to pack it in and no reason to ball out against that defense, and yet he goes out there and gives the kind of emotional leadership people like you have been asking for from him before the game, the kind of excellent play on the field against a great defense during the game, and all the right quotes, which seem genuine to me, to the media after the game. Look, you say whatever you want about him, and I don't argue with you most times. In the past, he quit in the NFC Championship game. All that criticism is legitimate. But today, I don't want to hear broken clock is right twice a day. Today. Damn it. The clock is right.
Well,
Give him his credit.
Oh, so well said.
Well, I'm glad you feel that way, Molly Wood. Feel free to join in and debate with him. It doesn't bother me. Let me tell y'all something right now. Again, I'm not budging. Max Kellerman, I think yesterday we had a conversation. And during that conversation, when we were talking about Cam Newton, if I remember correctly, what you did was talk about how, inauthentic he came across. It's something that we'll revisit today. But you were alluding to that. And why were you alluding to that? Because you're alluding to certain times when Cam Newton has talked in the past, not just in the immediacy of the moment. And you're saying that there's a history there that brings into question his authenticity when he elocutes things out of his mouth. So you're hearkening back to the past as something to buffer your point of view. Well, let me tell you what buffers my point of view about Jay Cutler. I got video to support me. Could y'all show that video for me, please? Jay Cutler on the sideline in the NFC Championship game.
Oh,
when you're sitting up there riding on a bicycle, now you can't backpedal in the pocket to throw the football. You can't drop back to pass. There's a Super Bowl berth on the line, and this dude can't play, but doesn't even have the decency to go into the locker room. Instead, what he wants to do is go on the sideline acting like he's me or you in a damn gym riding a bicycle. So you can't backpedal to throw a pass to help get your team to the Super Bowl in an NFC Championship game. But what you can do is ride a bicycle on the sidelines in freezing temperatures, I might add, to ride a bicycle on there. And that is the same Jay Cutler we have seen year after year after year after year since that moment. So when I look at him, Max, I'm going about history. You're trying to tell me you show up for the first time in 6 weeks, just days removed from sitting there and saying, well, you know what, John Fox don't really have a choice but to lean on me. Where else is he going to go?
Truth.
You basically want me to sit up here and give Jay Cutler credit because because Jay Cutler actually went out there and showed an attempt to do his job.
Yes.
You want a cookie?
Yes.
He ain't getting it from me.
Like a cookie.
He ain't getting it from me. They're 2-6.
Look,
they're not that good.
Everything you just showed and everything you just said is in the past. You cannot change the past. Now, I don't. Some people confuse that with thinking you shouldn't take responsibility for past behavior. You have to take responsibility for your past. You have to own it. All that is true. But you can't do anything about it other than how you behave today, right now. And what Jay Cutler just did on Monday Night Football against an excellent defense for a team with no reason to play.
All right.
Was excellent. Well, you got to give him his props today.
Here's the deal. You have a situation where this offense for the Chicago Bears was not just helped by, by the way, this kid Jordan Howard can ball a little bit, had 153 yards rushing. Let's not forget him, and it kind of helped that gave Jay Cutler. But let's also remember that you have a Vikings offense that registered just 15 first downs, that went 2 for 13 on third down conversions. They were ineffective because they're depleted. That put a lot more pressure.
Now I know you know I'm right. Now I know you know I'm right. You get this little look on your face, like a guilty kid.
That little,
he gets this guilty little thing where he's trying to stop smiling. Yeah, there it is. There it is.
I have a question for you.
There it is.
I laugh at Jay Cutler all the time.
Yeah, no. You know I'm right.
Did we discuss that the Vikings have one of the best defenses in the league? You have to give him some credit for that.
Yes, we did.
How about, does he usually give a heartfelt pregame speech? And did you see him post-game interview? Lisa Salter said, I'm not used to you being so animated on the sidelines. You're really fired up.
He's doing what you always ask for.
Where the emotion came from.
He's giving you what you asked for.
You want to live in the past on the bike, or look at this changed man?
Because I believe the changed man. Is that what you just? Baby steps. That's what we're doing right here.
The wristbands are sweaty. He's home from the gym. The
You're
wristbands
1-6 at the
He's still overweight, but he's working on it.
Your team is 1-6.
Yeah.
You finally show up after 5 weeks because you had to sit out 5 weeks because of a sprained thumb. Sprained, not broken. Sprained. A sprained thumb. The man is out 5 weeks for a sprained thumb. He shows up last night, rides the coattails of his running back, who's balling. The defense shows up, beats up Sam Bradford and all this stuff. And so that's where we go.
Max won the debate. I can move on.
Well, first of all, when you become the judge, you let me know, okay? Because I wasn't aware of that. Because this city, we can all get into. I'm not giving Jay Cutler any credit whatsoever. Not Jay Cutler. No, I'm not doing it. Let's go ahead.
All right. the presidential election has been blamed for a lot of television ratings being down, but it doesn't seem to be hurting interest in the World Series. Sunday night's head-to-head contest between America's former pastime and America's team resulted in a decisive win for baseball, according to the Sports Business Journal. Listen to this. Game 5 of the World Series between the Indians and Cubs beat the regular season Eagles-Cowboys game by 32% in overnight ratings. Max, what happened to the viewers of America's team?
Okay, first, I just want to get into this before I even get into the bigger point.
Sure.
Here are at least 6 reasons that football ratings are down, period, across the board. And that was a good game. But most primetime games have stunk this year. That was good, but you start conditioning the audience to that. It's also a regional rivalry. Cowboys are America's team and everything, and Cowboys-Eagles is a rivalry, but that's a regional rivalry. That's not a celebrated national rivalry. Primetime games have stunk, I just mentioned. The anthem protests have been divisive. Whatever position you take on it, not everyone likes it. I would say that the concussion issue is hurt. The domestic violence issue is hurt. Cord cutting and time sharing is hurt. The attention span of the American public, especially kids, is diminished due to essentially forms of gambling like daily fantasy, but also the Red Zone channel and things like that, right? Our attention spans are diminished. All those things. But also, you got to look at baseball. Not only are the Cubs this huge national story, and a major market, like when the Yankees played the Red Sox Game 7 in a deciding game in 03, they did a 17-1 share nationally. In 04, a 19-4 share. So when you get a major market that has a national following, people will watch. But to me, the biggest point here is baseball is much closer to football in popularity than people realize. Baseball's economy is over 2/3 football's economy. It's like 15 billion to 10 billion, something like that. It changes a little bit year to year, but it's basically that. Baseball, when people talk about ratings, there are 162 games, 16 games in the NFL. 10 times the number of games, almost exactly. So you know what you would expect based on supply and demand? That every football game, since it's 10 times scarcer, does 10 times the rating, which is exactly what happens. And for those who say, oh, that's a BS argument, do it the other way around. Baseball attendance crushes football attendance. Well, of course, because they have so many more games to attract fans. Right, exactly. The number of games helps baseball attendance, hurts their TV ratings generally. Now, for various reasons, football is more popular. I'm just telling you, not as much as people think. And a night like last night, I think, makes that case.
Well, listen, I think you say last night makes that case. If the Cubs weren't playing Sunday night, I don't know if we would be making this argument. That's number one. So a lot could have to do with the Cubs and the affection that people have towards them because the curse, 108 years, it's in the second city, they call it, the city of Chicago, that history. Also, the Indians, their backdrop, how long it's taken since they've won a World Series, the combination of the two things, the two fan bases. I mean, you have to look at it from that perspective. I don't know if those teams are not playing in the World Series that we're having this argument. Secondly, I don't know if I'm willing to co-sign your argument that baseball is every bit as popular because
not every bit, but it's closer than people realize.
Well, here's why I disagree. Because of the demographics, not numbers. Numbers-wise, you might have a point in terms of that baseball audience has never left. The average age for baseball's audience might have been 44, and now it might be 54. Those individuals have gotten older, but they haven't died. They're not going anywhere. And because of that reality, and they're still diehard baseball lovers, they are what they are. The litmus test for popularity in professional sports usually is illuminated by the interest coming from a younger audience. So if you've got kids and you're looking at what they're interested in and they're on the come up, what sport they're interested in. They're interested in gravitating towards football more because obviously football's religion is only 16 games. It's incredibly popular. It's like Sunday. People are scheduling their church pastors are scheduling their church sessions around, when football games are being played. You got Monday night. Now, I do think that it's been diluted to some degree when you look at Thursday's product, because as I've lamented to you on several occasions, Thursday night's product it pales in comparison to what we see
Monday, Sunday,
on Sunday.
Any great shakes this year
I'm not going to sit there and say that entirely because, again, even when they play bad, it's because, okay, the other team might have been better. On Thursday nights, you're literally wondering whether or not a team is ready.
I want to address some of these points.
And that's what it comes down to.
I want to address some of these points. Look, baseball's a local game. So you could say, well, the numbers are similar in terms of ratings. If you multiply it by 10, there are 10 times as many games. So, but it's the same eyeballs over and over as opposed to different eyeballs for football. It's a national game. Everyone follows every team in football. You only really follow your local team in baseball. So the Cubs, being one of the few national stories in baseball, generate ratings another team might not. I agree with that. But, you know, in this business, time spent viewing or in radio, time spent listening is not considered necessarily as good as the cumulative number of people watching or listening, but it ain't that much worse. There's a lot of value for advertisers, et cetera. I think that's baseball to football, too. You bring up the demographics. Baseball's average age is 53 for the baseball fan, the consumer. NFL's 47. That's a 6-year difference.
Really?
It's significant, but it's not as significant as people think. NBA is 37. So there's a bigger gap.
NBA is on the come up.
No doubt. And the NBA is a much easier, more accessible sport to understand. It exports better around the world. Younger kids like it better. But there's a bigger drop-off in age between the NFL and NBA than between baseball and football.
Yeah,
it's been exaggerated how old baseball is relative
But I
to
also
football.
think here's where you're missing a point. If you have a game on Thursday, and it's a diluted product, and it's not generating interest from a younger audience, right? That contributes to that rating that you just gave in terms of the average age of your audience being 47 years of age. And not only that, you know, the elevation of the NBA, because the NBA has successfully gone about the business of globalizing its brand. I think if you took Thursday night football away from the equation and you're just talking about Sunday and Mondays, I think those numbers would be a little bit different with NFL.
Hold on, wait. You think
yes.
We just went over the cord cutting and time shifting,
Yes, that's
technology changing things,
That's right.
red zone and fantasy, domestic violence issue that has scandalized the league, concussion issues that have scandalized the league, all these things. You want to point to Thursday football? That's way down the list.
Because, wait a minute, I didn't disagree with those other points. That's why I didn't feel the need to regurgitate them. I get your point with the other points that you made. I was talking about, I've been saying them for weeks. You said, so I totally agree. I'm talking about Thursday night football because I think, again, that's a diluted portion of the product. I think when you sit there and take that and throw that into the equation,
it ain't helping.
I think that it's not helping. That's my point. Whereas the NBA is on a come up, I look at Major League Baseball, the game is a bit slow. They've got to do things to speed it up a little bit, and I don't think it ingratiates itself with that younger audience. But I do think football does, just on certain days, better than others.
I have one question for Molly.
Yeah.
Does that count as 2 wins for me, or is that like a 10-8 round in boxing? Do I get an extra point, or is that 2 separate rounds?
I plead the fifth.
You can believe what you want. I mean, listen,
I'm just curious.
You are entitled to your beliefs.
I want to
as
talk to a
ridiculous
champion.
As they are.
Enough of you two. We have a living legend here in the house from a fine institution, the University of Connecticut. 11-time national champion Gino Auriemma. Here he is. He needs to set these two straight. Gino, I need you. Calm him down.
Love seeing you, Coach.
Where are we going here?
Right here. We're going to get you a chair.
Why don't you win a little bit?
What's up?
How you doing, buddy?
Does anyone ever teach you how to win things?
How are you? Great to
You
see
enjoying this? You look like you're at a Wimbledon tennis match here.
Well, hello there. Welcome into First Take. Thank you so much for hanging with us on this Tuesday. Stephen A. Smith, Max Kellerman, I'm Molly Karam. How are we
What's
doing,
up?
guys?
How you doing?
Good. You?
Hey, you? I'm good. I'm good. Let's roll.
Fantastic. Let's get into it. We have a big day. We have UConn head coach and 11-time national champion Gino Auriemma will stop by to talk a little hoops, and WWE superstar Goldberg is here to pay a visit. Your favorite
That's
ahead
right.
of returning to the ring. That's going to be a lot of fun, so don't miss all of that. But we start with Monday Night Football in the Chi. It was Jay Cutler's first game back from a Week 5 thumb injury. He delivered a heartfelt Stephen A. pregame speech to the team, and it certainly resonated. The Bears got their second win of the season and handed the Vikings their second straight loss. Jay Cutler's wife, Kristen Cavallari, was all